Hello, everyone, and welcome to Franchise Focus. I am your host, Lisa Linkowski. I am the owner of Milestone Franchiser. I am franchising. I am a certified franchise consultant representing hundreds of concepts across many industries. And Franchise Focus is all about putting the spotlight on people in the franchise world. And today in studio, we have David Galkin, who is the owner of Fish Window. David, welcome to the studio.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Of course, we're very excited to have you today. And David, you own the franchise Fish Window. You want to tell us it's fish window and cleaning. It's kind of obvious what it is, but just give us a little bit of a rundown of what it is.
Sure. So Fish Window Cleaning is a window cleaning franchise. It's a service-based concept. Mike Merrick started the company in St. Louis in 1978 and started franchising in 1998. There are about 225 offices across the country in almost every state.
Excellent.
So we provide window cleaning to commercial and residential customers.
Right, and it's mostly commercial,
Mostly
right?
commercial. I would say about 80%, 75% of our business is commercial.
Okay. And how did you, what was your background? What did you do before you were a fish owner?
Sure. So I did a lot of different things. I think I'm either the first or second youngest by age fish window cleaning franchisee. I started in 2014 in May when I was 27. Before that, I drove truck cross country. I wanted to do that for a little while. Before that, I went to law school. Figured that wasn't for me. It was at Villanova. I didn't enjoy that, so I wanted to do something else. And that's kind of it. I don't know, not a lot of history there.
Okay, so hold on a second. So you went to law school for a time at Villanova. Then you were driving trucks across the country.
Yep.
And you then went into franchising.
Yep.
How did you get into the franchising space?
So my wife and I always kind of talked about owning our own business. We met in college. And just, it's something we just, always talked about for whatever reason. I don't even know why. And at some point, we made a decision that we should stop just talking about owning a business and actually go ahead and do it. So we didn't really have any friends or family that were business owners, so we kind of did our own research online in magazines. We went to a couple of franchise expos, and then we kind of learned what franchising is specifically and figured, we don't know anything, so let's find somebody who does and do that. So that's how we got into franchising.
So did you go to Fish directly then?
No, we worked with a franchise consultant.
You worked with a consultant like me,
Yep.
okay. And so the concepts, how many concepts did they show you? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember, but we probably started with 60, 70, 80, a lot. Like, my wife and I were extremely thorough in our
your research.
So we started with 60, 70, or 80, and then whittled down to 5 or 6, and then finally got to 2 and decided on Fish. So
what made you decide on Fish? What was the final? You were down to 2. What made Fish go across the finish line for you?
So there's a good history there. Fish window cleaning has been around for a while. The interactions we had with anybody at Fish and through validation were good. We also liked that it was a simple model, service-based, not a lot of equipment or inventory management or things like that. So that's kind of it. We wanted to keep everything as simple as possible.
Keep it simple.
That's right.
KISS.
That's
Keep
right.
it simple.
Yep.
All right. So that is really incredible that you sat here and you came into this, into this whole realm, and you are the second youngest, right?
I think, yeah.
What's that been like for you? Because, franchising kind of skewers, a little bit older there. So what's it like? Is there any difference? What can you talk about with that?
Honestly, I don't know. I only have my own experience, right? So I am whatever the first or second youngest fish window cleaning franchise owner. So I only have that experience. I do see, yes, during our annual convention and through validation and everything with fish window cleaning, potential franchisees, most of the population is older. So I think kind of the main thing that I see is there's a lot of people that are coming from a corporate career. For the most part, that's generally who's attracted to this model and to franchising in general, and they are trying to replace an income from a 30-year corporate career where they have made it to whatever position they're in, and they think they will replace that income very, very quickly.
Right. Just like that, overnight.
Doesn't happen. So like I often tell people in validation that if you try and do that, it's like sawing off your own legs. Like you won't be able to move forward in your business.
All right, so let's talk about validation. So validation is a process in the franchising world where when you're interested in looking at a franchise seriously, you review the FDD, the franchise disclosure document, and then you go into something called validation where you get to interview other owners. You get to hear the day in the life of what it's like to be an owner of that franchise. And you can talk about more specifics with them, and you can ask detailed questions about finances, et cetera, et cetera. So having been with Fish for as long as you've been, I would assume you do a lot of validation.
Yeah, I do a good amount, yep.
Okay, and
I like it. So.
And that's why when you talk to people and you say you're not going to replace your income like that. So what is your advice when someone says to you, well, when am I going to break even? When am I going to start to get that income? What do you tell them?
So it kind of depends on the person that you're talking to. The people are looking for different things in their life or where they are in life or whatever. So there are some people that, like I said, they've had that career and maybe they don't want to replace that income. They just don't want to travel anymore. They don't want to go to meetings anymore. They just want a simpler life and they just need something modest. As income-wise specifically.
Right, to keep things going.
Yeah, so my answer to them is you just build it to what you want, but still in the beginning you're generally, at least my experience, not taking a salary in the first 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 months. And some people can't handle that. When I started, so I tell people I didn't have kids. My wife and I didn't have kids when we started. So we didn't have the expense of children, which is
right.
a heavy expense.
And college,
yeah,
and everything
all that
right.
stuff. Yeah. So I tell people that it depends on what you're looking for, and I try and go straight to the numbers, right? Because the concept works, the model works, there's support, all that. I say that's all good. Let's talk about like what numbers you need in order for this to make sense for you, and that's the kind of conversation we have.
So do you own multiple territories, you yourself, or is it just one territory?
No, so my territory is the Lehigh Valley, so Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, that's it. It's one executive territory. Fish has three sizes, small, standard, and executive, and ours is executive.
It's an executive
population
model.
size.
And this is Pennsylvania,
Yep,
Lehigh
Pennsylvania.
Valley,
Yep.
Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have one territory, and are most people, so they don't do the multiple territories that other franchises do, or they
No, there
they
are,
do?
yeah, in Fish there are owners who have multiple territories, yeah.
Okay.
Again, it just depends on
what it is and who.
Yeah, on where it is in the U.S., what they want specifically. Yeah, there's multiple territory owners. Yeah.
Okay, so you do a lot of validation. You're the second youngest. I would assume that you've seen Fish go through, because they have been around for so long, innovation. And you go, well, how much innovation can there be in a window cleaning company, right?
Sure.
But there is.
Yeah.
Things that are online,
Yep.
how you paperless, going from paperless. What was it like when you first came on the scene to what it is now when you're handling your customers?
So kind of one thing that you mentioned is just a lot of online stuff. So just the presence of fish window cleaning on the web, different review sites, our website, search engine optimization, all that stuff has really kind of cranked up. I would say in the past maybe 3 or 4 years, more so than when I started. There's an initiative now that should be done soon to go paperless in a lot of like the estimate procedure. Right? We're in a service business. We provide estimates, and then we provide the service if you agree to the estimate.
Right.
A lot of that has been on paper traditionally because it works, it's fine, but now a lot of that is going paperless. A lot of email marketing that in the past year and a half has really ramped up in Fish, which I personally, as a franchisee, I like. The franchisor handles that stuff. There's a huge database, and they
Nice.
they do a lot of email marketing.
Okay, excellent. So how do you go about getting your customers? What is that like? How are you going and getting your commercial clients? And do they stay with you for a long time, I would assume, because you do such an excellent job once you get them on board?
Yep. So our business, like I said, is about 75% or so commercial. For commercial clients, nobody has found something to replace the face-to-face interaction. So you go and you network, you go into the local, store, restaurants. If you're out eating somewhere, you always ask for a manager and try and, see if they need our service and get them an estimate. So it's a lot of face-to-face interaction. So that's another thing I tell people during validation is in this business, and really I think in any franchise, you are not going to get customers from the franchisor. Your job as the franchise owner is to build your team and to acquire customers, right? The franchisor is going to teach you what to do to keep the business running and to make your customers happy. So that's really important. We don't lose a lot of our commercial customers. Our attrition is very, very low because, like you said, we do a good job. We say something and then we do what we say, which seems like a really simple concept, but if you do that,
they will come, and then they will stay.
Come. Yep.
And by the way,
yep.
I was off camera, and I was looking, going, yes, yes, with everything that he's saying, that there's so much business development that is required in franchising. And, you know, you've got to get out there, and you've got to go secure who it is that's going to be coming to your business 100,000 times %. So thank you for bringing that up. And you have to enjoy that. You know, I tell people, I'm like, if we're talking on a Zoom, and they're cringing and they hate it. I'm like, you know, you've got to really want to be around people and talk with people and put yourself out there and be the brand ambassador. You know, you're wearing your shirt, you're wearing your hat, you've got your truck, you know, or you've got a van or a truck, right? You're riding around. Do you ever get people to stop you and say, what is this about?
All the time. So I went all in on fish, right? Like, burned all my other clothes. These are the only shirts that I have. Like, now I have one suit for, you know, funerals and weddings and for the fish convention. I'm not kidding. You can ask my wife. It's in my closet. We have 6 trucks for our business now. I don't drive any of them. That's for our technicians. We have 15 employees right now. And my car, my vehicle that I drive, because I go do estimates, I go to networking events, is wrapped in our logo. And I'm at Wawa getting gas, and people come up to you. It happens all the time, all the time.
And it's great. It's a great way of marketing yourself wherever you are, that people stop you. So 15 employees. How long did it take for you to ramp up to that point?
So we ramped up very, very quickly because we were extremely aggressive. When we started the business, my wife took leave from her corporate job for like 3 or 4 months to help grow the business. And that was our plan, right? We didn't have kids, all that stuff that I said. So we went out and did a massive amount of sales in the beginning. Like we were working 16 hours a day, 6 days a week. But it doesn't mean that you have to do that, right? We were okay doing that, right?
This is what you wanted to do.
That's what we wanted. So we grew extremely quickly. We probably got to around the 8 to 10 employee mark after like 3.5, 4 years, around there. And one of the main reasons that we were able to scale so quickly was because we were very aggressive in the beginning. We also hired an operations manager. I was 1.5 years into the business, which really, and fish kind of tells you to do that, and I listened. Right? That's why I bought a franchise. That freed me up to do more sales and not have to focus on the operational, day-to-day stuff. And he's been with us for 6.5 years. He'll hit 7 years soon.
Right, you've now gone and transitioned to working on the business, not in the business, which is a really key point. And you're not at that point for a while in your franchise, but when you get to it, you're like, okay, this is a different place, and you're breathing different air. So for people, because I get told all the time, like the service-based area, I adore the service-based industry. It's just a great area, and it is so hard for people to wrap around the fact that they're not going to be cleaning the windows. When's the last time you cleaned one of the windows?
6 years ago or 5 years ago, yeah.
Okay, so on that note, we're going to take a quick commercial break and hear a word from our sponsors, and then we'll continue on the other side.
Sure.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Boardwalks built for fun. Legendary rock and roll clubs.
This is how we do it. Hippity hop.
Casinos by the ocean.
Hippity hop.
Now that's New Jersey. 130 miles of beautiful beaches. Solid rock. And everything in between.
Look in the window.
Now that's New Jersey. Plan your New Jersey trip at visitnj.org. Waves of fun. Nights of excitement. And a trail of memories. Now that's New Jersey.
And welcome back to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Linkowski, and I'm sitting here with David Galkin, who just has an incredible business going over in the Lehigh Valley area with fish windowing cleaning. And right before the commercial break, we hit upon the fact that the service industry, if it's painting or it's window cleaning or it's whatever the service is that you're helping a business with or a home with, that many of the franchises, you're not actually physically doing the work. It's an executive model where you then are hiring your employees. Now, you had mentioned that you have 15 employees. How has that been with the whole labor shortage? Have you lost people or have you been able to retain them this entire time?
So in our business, there's, and I think probably in many service businesses, there's always that core of people that that stay with your company or with your business because they enjoy the small environment, they enjoy the work, that sort of thing. And there's some that there's a churn at the bottom. I'm sorry, that's just people try something out for a month or two or three or four, and they figure they don't like it or it's not for them or whatever, they move on. So we've been very lucky. My ops manager has been with us almost 7 years. We have 5 technicians been with us almost 5 years, and the others, 2-3 years, and we have some new ones this year that started this season. So it's been hard to have people come in for interviews, to be very honest, like the past year and a half or whatever. But normally, like over the past 7 years, we haven't really had trouble finding people and retaining people.
Excellent.
Not really. Yeah.
And you also mentioned that in the beginning, you and your wife were working 16 hours a week. Mm-hmm. A day, rather,
yeah.
A day. And that's also important for people to understand that in the beginning, you go, I'm doing this because I want to have the flexibility and the lifestyle and everything else. But us franchise owners know that in the beginning, you're on fire and you're just doing whatever it takes to get that business up and running as fast as you can. That's the goal. So somehow, some way, you then manage to have 2 young children. So you ended up settling in,
Yeah.
everything settled in, your wife went back to corporate
Yep.
America,
Yep.
and you have 2 small kids. Tell me, what is your life like now? You know, you're how many years into owning your business now? 2014.
Yeah, so 7 years, yeah.
7 years into it. What is your family life like now?
Yeah, so excellent question. So you made a good point there. Like in the beginning, you're just going at 1,000%, just full speed. Like we didn't do anything else, right? There was no going out to movies or dinner, like nothing. Like we were all in. It doesn't mean that you have to do it that way. That's what we did, right? So our daughter is 5 now. So she was born, you know, when we hit 2 years into the business, and our son is about to turn 3. And you know, when our daughter was born, like even at that point in Fish, I was in for 2 years, year and a half, 2 years. I never missed a doctor's appointment with my wife, you know, any of the OB appointments or anything. The birth of both my kids, it was there, you know, all that cliche stuff or whatever. But I never missed any of that stuff. Because at that point, I kind of had the infrastructure in place to be able to not always be in the business. So our life now is in fish window cleaning. I put in about an hour a day, maybe. I go in the morning and meet with my operations manager and my office manager, and the rest of the time I focus on building, you know, our other business and spending with my kids and my wife. I don't know.
Fantastic.
I'm a boring person. I'm sorry.
No, that's not boring. It's to show the point that as much as you in the beginning are going, what did we do?
Yeah, oh yeah.
There's another side of the hill that suddenly it's like, oh,
Yep.
there's green grass and the
Yeah.
sun is shining
Yeah,
and there's a
yeah.
unicorn, right? Everything starts to smooth out. Not to say that it is easy all the time and
No.
you've got headaches and you've got things that come up around the corner, but it eases up.
Yeah.
You get to take your foot off of the
Yeah.
gas pedal.
And I think I'll make one last point on that is, you know, kind of your success really in anything that you do is, I forget what the terminology is called, is kind of a factor of how much time you put into it. There's no substitute for time. Yes, you could be born, you know, with some kind of innate ability for, you know, some kind of sport or music or whatever, but you still have to practice.
That's right.
A lot.
A lot.
Right? You ever read about
10,000 hours.
that? Yeah. You ever read about Michael Phelps and how he would practice on
10,000
Sundays
hours
when
by
nobody else
Malcolm
would?
Gladwell. Yeah.
Gladwell,
Absolutely.
there you go, yeah.
Yep.
It's without a doubt true. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
You have to put in a lot of time.
Absolutely. And if you want your business to succeed, you're going to put in a lot of time,
Yeah.
just like we did when we first started in our corporate careers.
Sure,
and
yeah.
you wanted to appease your boss and you were working nonstop
Yep.
around the clock because you wanted to, you know, show that you were a team player and you were
Yeah.
all in. It's the same
Yep.
thing with this.
Yep.
So, all right, let me ask you about this. You touched upon the fact that you listened because, you know, they told you to do something,
Yep.
and that's what a franchise is,
Yep.
that you want to follow the system and the procedures that
Yep.
are in place. But another nice thing about a franchise is that you're not isolated, you're not by yourself, that you have other owners. And so what has the collaboration been with the other owners of Fish?
Yeah. So great. I mean, I talk to a lot of fish owners a lot, all the time. Not so much now because I'm more mature in the business, but in the beginning, I annoyed people a lot. Like, I know that I annoyed them. Like, I know, right? You can hear in their voice when you call. But they would always help, right? Nobody ever was, you know, mean or anything like that. So you get to call and email people and talk to people that have similar experiences. They've literally been through what you are now going through 5 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever. And you get to get a lot of different perspectives on the same business, essentially. Right? So there's a lot of collaboration. Everybody's always going back and forth. Everybody's very open in the system. And I like that personally. I enjoy that.
100%. It makes such a difference.
Oh, yeah.
And the wealth of information that you get, because to your point, everyone's coming at it from different backgrounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh,
you've
yeah.
got one
Yep.
guy that's a finance guy, you got one person
Yep.
that's, you know, marketing, and then they all come together and you get this shared
Yeah.
intelligence.
Yeah.
And you benefit from it,
Sure, yep,
right?
yep.
So I had done the same thing in my franchise. I'd created a group so that we could all talk, and you have one similar
Yeah,
on
yep,
Facebook,
yep.
and we would, you know, and people would, the franchisor was like, well, is this just a complaint session? And we're like, no, this is so that we can, you know, I've come
Improve.
up against this wall, can anyone help me?
Yeah.
And I did the exact same thing in the role that I'm in now. I talk with, we have our monthly meeting.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is our monthly meeting where we get to talk with each other because you just get to help each
Yeah.
other, and the more that the system grows
Yep.
and the stronger that it is, the better it is
for everybody.
everyone,
Oh, yeah. Yes,
right?
Yeah, and that's
Everyone.
something that some people don't understand, right? The better it is for everyone. The more it grows, the more people there are in, the better the brand is recognized. It's just better for everyone.
It's just better for everyone. So you mentioned before that, in your side time, that you decided to go venture into another business. So tell us what that is.
So our other business is another franchise because we like the franchising model. It's Redbox Plus. It's a dumpster rental company. So we started that in April of 2021. This year.
And how is that going for you?
That's amazing. We love it, and my wife is full time in that with me. She's actually my boss.
So she's left the corporate world, and now she's full in on the franchise.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, did the lure of the franchising bring her in?
Yeah, but also now she's kind of in what you mentioned earlier. She's in that, oh my God, what did we do? Why? Because my wife Stephanie, in the beginning of fish window cleaning, she was in for 3 months, and she saw like that intense 3 months. But then after that, she was in corporate,
Gone.
right? Gone.
Right.
So I point at her and I laugh a little bit now and say, yes, what did we do? But in 3 or 4 or 5 years, we'll be in a better place.
Stephanie, it will all be okay. It will be.
That's
You've
right.
got this guy here who you guys know what you're doing. You're doing a great job. So you have this other franchise now. So now you're on mogul status. Like that's where you're just going on this. And you decide to stay within the same color scheme, I see. So that made it easy
Huge
for your
decision,
wardrobe.
huge factor in the decision, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, it has to be red because my entire wardrobe is red.
That's right. Yep.
And so now, how do you decide which wardrobe to wear from day to day?
Yeah.
Do you pick and choose odds and evens?
So it's actually funny because for Redbox, there's not as much outward kind of business development so far that needs to be done. A lot of that business is like inbound. They have a very great concept.
They have a full call center and
dumpster and porta potty combination. So once those are kind of out in the field, I mean, you're getting a lot of inbound phone calls and emails and stuff. Yeah.
Well, David, we've laughed, right? This has been incredible. You are 27 and you are doing an amazing job in your business ownership. And one of the reasons that I have this show is to really educate people and to let them understand the joy and the pain of what it's like to be a business owner. And you just gave it to all of us wonderfully. And you loved it so much you decided to venture into yet another franchise. So if that's not a testament to your happiness with your decision, I don't know what is. So I thank you so much for coming here from the Lehigh Valley. We're going to put your contact information up on the screen so that everyone can see it and they can reach out to you so that they can go get their commercial windows cleaned and also residential. Reach out, and then you can also reach out to David for his other business, which is Redbox Plus. And I thank you so much, David, for coming in. It has been a pleasure. I'm Lisa Linkowski, your host of Franchise Focus, airing every Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You can find out more about me at milestonefranchising.com, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.